The CAGED system is a really easy method that unlocks the whole neck. That means we can play with freedom anywhere we like, and we don't first have to learn every note and every scale. Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better guitar players. My name's Mark and this is the first lesson in a series where we're going to take a deep dive into the CAGED system, and as I say, that should then allow us to play wherever we like along the neck with total freedom. So this lesson, it's pretty much for beginners, although you will need to know at least your 5 basic open chords: C, A, G, E and D. And you'll also need to be reasonably proficient at playing your basic bar chords. So like a G like this, or a C like this. Okay, so if you know those chords and you can play those reasonably proficiently, then you're at the ideal starting point to learn the CAGED system. So the CAGED system is based off our 5 major chords that we can play in the open position. Those are the ones I played before. They spell out the word CAGED and they are C, A, G, E and D. But we're not going to think of them as chords, we're going to think of them as shapes. Often when the CAGED system is taught, they will refer to these as shapes or possibly forms. So we might talk about the E form being this one, or the E shape. And then when we move this up to play a G chord here, we talk about that as a G chord that's made from the E shape. So that's how we're going to be referring to this. So what we're going to do in today's lesson is we're going to map those 5 chords along the neck to find every possible C chord using all of those different shapes. So 5 shapes, 5 different C chords. We're going to start with our open C chord. Now what you should already know is that this note here, there, 3rd fret A string, well, that is a C, and that note links to the next one. So if we take our A shape here, but drag it up and bar it at the 3rd fret, we get another C chord. So now we've got 2, and that note there, 3rd fret A string, that's common to both. Okay, so we've got C, A. Now we're going to take the G form. So our G chord, we're going to move all the way up here. Now, importantly, nobody is ever going to expect you to play this as a 6-string chord. And you shouldn't, because that's just nothing anybody should ever have to do. However, what we need to do is we need to be able to see it. We need to be able to play it. We don't need to be able to play it well as full 6 strings, but we need to be able to see it on our fretboard. That's going to be really important. Now, you might think, well, that's a chord nobody's ever going to use. We never use the 6-string version of that, but I use bits of that chord all the time. So if we take just the A, D, G and B strings from it, we get this. And that's a chord I use all the time. We can also stretch out our little finger, put it, and I actually use this form of it where I cover both the top E and the B string at the 8th fret, and it gives us this chord. And you can bounce between those and make some kind of nice little grooves. But the important thing here is when we look at the A shape, the A form that we've brought up here to form this C chord, and now we're making this one, the important thing is that those 3 strings, was that D, G and B, they're the same. Now we're fretting them with different fingers, but they actually make the same 3 notes. Now, it's really important to know this because understanding how these chords link together is going to be really key to how we use the CAGED system in later lessons. But for now, we've got 3 different chords. The C chord in three different shapes, I should say. The C shape, the A shape, and the G shape. So So C, A, G, and the next one is an E. So we're going to take the E shape and drag that up here, like this. And you're probably already familiar with that chord. And again, interestingly, this connects to the previous one by the two notes on the B and the E string at the 8th fret. So where we had these, now we've got them there. Okay, so that's our E shape dragged up. Now we're going to take our D shape and drag that all the way up to here. And we get this chord. And again, not a chord anyone's going to particularly ever ask us to play. But we need to be able to see it. If I'm playing that shape as part of some rhythm, I will tend to go for this here, where I only play the D, G, and B strings. Or possibly play it right at the top here where we play G, B, and top E strings. Okay, so now we've got 5 different chord shapes all making C chords. So if we play a C chord, we can play any one of these 5. Okay, and what that means is that when we come to play some rhythm guitar, we've now got 5 choices. Previously, we may have only ever gone straight back to the open chord, but now we've got 5 different ones we can choose from. And if we're sitting on one chord for any length of time, we can make that interesting by jumping around. Okay, enough of that nonsense. So what we've got now is 5 different chords, 5 different chord shapes that we can use anytime we want to play a C chord. Okay, but we don't just play C chords, we play other chords as well. So what happens with it if we need to play a G? We do exactly the same thing, same principle. We're going to start with our open G chord here. Okay, and we're going to take the next form of that up. So C, A, G, E. So we're going to take our E shape and drag it up to here and we get this one. And again, you're probably already familiar with this one. Okay, so now we've got 2 G chords. Now we're going to take the D shape and move that up and we get this one. Now we're going to take the C shape and move that up here and we get this chord. Might want to just play it at the top 3 strings. Might just want to play the inside 3 strings. I play that one quite a lot. And then the A shape dragged up here. Before we get back to the G shape here. So now we've got G chords all over the neck. And here's what that sounds like. Okay, so homework for next lesson. Take those 5 shapes and work them across the chords of C so that you did and get familiar with being able to play them just like I did through the lesson. Then do the same with G, so you get that, so you can play that fluidly just like I did through the lesson. Then take other chords as well. How does an E chord work when we work that through the 5 shapes? What happens with chords that don't have an open chord? So an F sharp major, for example. Work that through the 5 shapes. Can you do that? So once we're capable and can do that fluidly with any chord, it means that we've got now 5 different options every time we see a major chord. We don't always have to jump around the neck. Wherever we are on the neck, we can find one nice and easy. Okay, next lesson, what we're going to do then is we're going to look at these shapes again, but the cool thing about them is each of these 5 shapes has notes that kind of hang around with them as well, and we can use those notes to build little lead lines and little phrases to augment our playing, so to get us into kind of lead playing. And that's really where the CAGED system starts to then unlock the neck. And so that's what we're doing in the next lesson. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. I will improvise out now, showing you a little bit of a taster of things to come in the next lesson, and I'll put the names of the Patreon supporters on the screen because they help keep the channel going. They basically finance this whole thing. So big thanks to them. Take care, and I'll see you in the next lesson.